Commissioner Wojciechowski, thank you for joining us today for the Cema Virtual Summit. European policies, measures, and support schemes will need to be aligned in order to deliver a more sustainable agriculture in Europe. In particular, the European Green Deal, the Farm to Fork strategy, and the reform of the Common Agricultural Policy initiated in 2018 must be coordinated. Can you tell us where we stand, and will the new CAP preserve the resilience of a well-functioning farming sector?
Thank you for the invitation, and I believe that the reform of the Common Agricultural Policy not only preserves but further reinforces, both from an economic and an environmental point of view, the sustainability and the resilience of farming in Europe. First, it is important to underline that we have been able to achieve a very good budget deal for agriculture, considerably more than the Commission proposed back in 2018, and increased despite the departure of the UK. As you know, the European Green Deal and Farm to Fork strategy both aim to expand the use of sustainable farming practices and approaches. The new budget will, therefore, be increasing the use to stimulate such practices. The Commission is open to a wide range of sustainable practices and approaches based on diverse technologies and knowledge. This includes, for example, precision agriculture, organic farming, agroecology, agroforestry, carbon farming, etc. In addition to environmental objectives, common agricultural policy strategy plans must also support farm income and competitiveness of farms. Sustainability is not possible without a fair deal for farmers. This is why support for farmers and measures to strengthen the position of farmers in the food supply chain are also an essential element of the Green Deal. I would like to underline that both Member States and the European Parliament have shown engagement to reach a deal and engagement to make sustainability of agriculture a central element of our reform. We are now engaged in negotiations to find the right compromise, hopefully by the end of May. I have confidence we will succeed, especially after the super trial which we had in end of March, and which was very successful, and I'm much more optimistic than before that we will achieve the good compromise in May this year.
Thank you. And if I may follow up on investment support, indeed, as you said, the reform CAP introduces enhanced conditionality and new instruments like the eco schemes, while providing more flexibility for member states to reach the goals through those national strategic plans. Now, we know that the ambitious targets can only be reached, as you pointed out, if farmers are successful and competitive, and also if they have the capacity to invest in advanced agricultural machinery and solutions to enable this precision farming and harvest the full potential of digital technologies and the use of data. Will the new system really fast-track the investments in advanced farm machinery, technology, and solutions while maintaining a full functioning single market?
Indeed, under the future CAP strategy plans, not only new instruments like eco schemes are proposed, but member states will also have a greater programming flexibility to reach common goals and CAP objectives. This should allow member states to tailor their interventions to their specific needs and conditions, including investment in new technology, digitalization, smart farming, etc. As regards these types of interventions, they will have their full place under the common framework of the CAP plans. Specifically, an overall cross-cutting objectives of this CAP reform is to modernize the sector by fostering and sharing knowledge, innovation, and digitalization in agriculture and rural areas. The novelty of CAP strategic plans is that the Commission will not prescribe which types of investments are good. This is for member states to determine. The Commission is interested in reaching the objectives of the reform, which includes enhancing market orientation and increasing competitiveness, but also focusing on research, technology, and digitalization. In their strategic plans, member states have to identify what is necessary and propose interventions to address those needs, including in terms of innovation. We also intend to monitor progress towards those objectives through results indicator measuring. For example, we will look at the share of farmers benefiting from support through precision farming technology. As you may know, the European Commission also initiated the Agriculture European Innovation Partnership in 2014. This networking initiated designed to speed up innovation in the farm processing industry and has been successful. Thousands of groups of farmers have been created around innovation on their farms. I would like to underline the importance of the Next Generation EU Fund that the Commission is launched to help the European economy recover from the pandemic. A large share of this Next Generation EU funding is aimed at financing the digital revolution. But returning to the CAP strategic plans, that's I'd like to say that's of course we have the common goals of the common agricultural policy, but member states have enough flexibility for to create their national strategic plans in fully targeted for their specific situation. We have different situation across the member states. The different structure of agriculture, different types of farm, different average size of farm from 130 hectares like in Czech Republic or 3 hectares like in Cyprus. But it needs the flexibility for member states, and this is one of the main principles of the reform.
Commissioner, you mentioned the Next Generation EU funds, which is indeed an important file because it helps the farmers, our customers, to deal with the consequences of COVID-19, but there are also other files that have potentially a direct impact on the capacity to invest. And I'm thinking here mainly of the taxonomy for sustainable finance, which is mainly now done through delegated acts and may set the conditions for investments to be eligible and could therefore limit the ability of farmers to be financed by banks. Do you see a risk that those initiatives, so the taxonomy, but also potentially the Next Generation funds, if member states don't all have their plan ready at the same time, do you see this as a risk of limiting the uptake of technology and the investment?
First of all, about the Next Generation plan and the fund, which my intention is to use these funds as much as possible for the investment for agriculture, for rural areas, especially for maybe not directly to the farmers, because there is the system, the common agricultural policy, this farmers income support, direct payment. But we can use, and we need to use, the Next Generation funds for the strengthening of the whole food sector. For example, the processing industry. We have a lot of problems in agriculture because there is no good synergy between the agriculture, farming, and processing industry. Especially a lot of small and medium-sized farmers, they have the problem to sell their products to participate in the competition, because not always they have the possibility to sell their products to the processing industry. Development of the processing industry is a very important part of the reform. And the next generation funds, which also the European Commission addressed send the guidelines for the member states for preparation of their recovery plan. And there are some, for example, stimulate agroecological approaches to farming and scale up investment, leading to increased green value added processing by primary producers that would make the agricultural sector more resilient throughout the supply chain, or investment to sustainable food production and consumption in line with objectives set out in the Farm to Fork strategy. This is the very important issue, is to have the synergy between all policies. That's not, and therefore the rural areas for the agriculture is not only the common agricultural policy, but other policies, and especially the recovery and resilience plan. That's very important farm to achieve our goals in agriculture and the food sector. What about the taxonomy is important in redirecting investments towards sustainable projects and contribute to achieving Green Deal objectives. Redirecting means we want to achieve public policy goals, and that we want to affect business as usual in terms of funding decision by banks. We want to target investments to achieve sustainability goals. This is a commitment we have made to taxpayers. In the delegated acts, we aim to establish the precise criteria that define an economic activity as an environmentally sustainable activity, contributing to climate change mitigation and adaptation objectives. As regards agriculture, the Commission aims to adopt this in April. It is important to know that we do not have a compulsory list of investment in mind. And that is also not compulsory to apply these criteria for investments. However, financial market participants will be obliged to disclose to what extent their investment products complies with the taxonomy criteria. The EU taxonomy is encouraged not only in private finances, but also in public finances. Once the delegated act is adopted, an appropriate use of taxonomy criteria will be considered under InvestEU, for example.
Thank you. You mentioned also knowledge and innovation. Allow me to come back a little bit on this, because obviously agriculture will be more and more knowledge intensive, and it's leveraging both the advanced machinery and solutions, the digital technologies, but also the skills. Now, we already have good experience in Europe through the Agricultural European Innovation Partnership, IEP, and the Agricultural Knowledge and Innovation System, the AKIS. Are we going to further strengthen this effort and stimulate the exchange of knowledge and innovation, the development of digital technologies in agriculture, enhancing advice and training in rural development, and also investing new resources for research and innovation?
Thank you for this question. Knowledge and innovation is a key enabler for the sustainable development of rural areas, increasing quality of life and for decreasing disparities between urban and rural areas. Knowledge must be turned into practical innovation that help farmers to transform and adopt the way in which they manage land, produce food, and respond to changing consumers' preferences. The Common Agriculture post-2020 explicitly introduces a cross-cutting objective to foster knowledge exchange, innovation, and digitalization. This highlights their important role for the modernization of the sector. In their strategic plans, member states will need to scale up support for the EIP, Agri, and appropriate advisory services, which will be fully integrated in the AKIS. Also important is that the Horizon Europe has a key role to support transition of the farming sector to sustainability. Under its cluster 6, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture and environment, 9 billion euro will be available for related research and innovation. Research and investment. This represents about twice as much resources under Horizon 2020. Within cluster 6, the ambitious work under Horizon 2020 will be further reinforced. With Horizon 2020, digital innovation hubs have been put in place. In addition, the Internet of Things, which has great potential for agriculture, and the whole food chain has been boosted. With Horizon Europe, investment in digital will allow to generate all potential benefits from the digital revolution. Digitalization can be beneficial for all farms, whatever their size. What is important, we will not neglect small farms. The potential of blockchain technologies will be explored as well. To sum up, digitalization has great potential to link farmers to the market and to consumers, which we will fully explore.
One last question, if I may, Commissioner, since you mentioned digitalization, there's also the dimension of infrastructure. And in times of lockdowns, it only takes a couple of hours to realize that our internet connections become our lifelines. And for those living and working in rural and remote areas, the experience is sometimes still a challenge. And of course, this would have a direct negative impact too on the deployment of smart agriculture and digital farming. So if we don't bridge this digital gap, we will not be able to leverage those technologies. Do you think we're doing enough on rural digital infrastructure?
In the past, not enough, because there is we can observe the gap between the possibility to access to the digital technologies in urban and rural areas. But the policy for the future, the common agricultural policy, the next generation, also the cohesion policy, all of these policies, in all of these policies, digitalization play very important role, and it means that we will support the investment for the development of the digitalization in rural areas using all possible funds. From common agricultural policy, next generation, this is the high priority, one of the high priorities, and also the cohesion policy. I know that I have the first information about the first drafts of the recovery plans prepared by the member states, and I can observe with satisfaction that member states propose a lot of funds, a lot of programs, a lot of investments for to develop the digitalization in the rural areas. This is optimistic because, of course, the condition of life, the development of agriculture, the sustainable development of the rural areas to prevent the population of the rural areas. All of this aspect is linked to the digitalization.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wojciechowski, thank you again for your time with us today. Thank you for your kind words and for sharing your views with our Cema Summit participants. Thank you.
Thank you once again for the invitation, and I wish you successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you.